Welcome to a fresh episode of the best Android setups, the series where I sift through all of the incredible setups featured within my application palette and pick just 3 to show you exactly how to recreate them on your own phones. If you're a fan of customization, but you haven't yet checked out my app, then you totally should, because it is filled to the brim with hundreds of visually stunning home screen setups. And we've just launched a brand new version of the app that not only features some redesigned UI elements to make navigating around the interface even faster, but it also features this brand new random sorting method to make finding new setups even easier. But as I said, today I've picked just 3 setups to showcase, and if you want to follow along, make sure you download Palette using the link below. But with that being said, let's dive in and take a look at setup number 1. Alright, this first setup was submitted by a user who goes by the name KitKatSojib, and this is a Nova Launcher based setup called Cute House. It's got this beautiful pastel colorway about it, and just a visually appealing layout overall. And if we jump over to the setup details page within Palette, you can see that it's using the crayon icon pack, which I'm a big fan of, as well as a widget pack called Sigma KWGT and another widget pack called Alpha KWGT, both of which I actually believe were made by Sojib himself, if I'm not mistaken. If we tap on this little information icon up here, we can see the names of the widgets being used specifically, which are K172 and A041 respectively. Now you'll notice down the bottom here, we've introduced this redesigned More button. And if we tap on this, this is the new menu where we can access our backup and wallpaper files, along with quick shortcuts to the home and search pages, plus this new report button, which is useful if you see a setup sharing direct access to a file that is from a paid application, for example. But for the time being, I'm just gonna tap to download both the backup and wallpaper files here, both of which we do have direct access to, which is nice. And with that done, I'm now gonna come home to Nova Launcher, long press the home screen and tap on wallpaper, then I'll tap on pick image and select that recently downloaded wallpaper file. I'll tap to set it, then tap home and lock screen, and with that done, I'll now tap on settings, come back down to the backup and restore section and tap on restore. Then I'll tap to restore that Cute House Nova backup file, hit OK, and there we go. Now all we need to do is set up our widgets. So I'll tap this top one here, and for some reason the Sigma KWGT pack doesn't show up in any searches I perform, so I'll need to manually find the widget myself. And this one was called K172, so once I've found it, I'll tap on it, and there we go. Now you'll notice that this widget is way too big for this widget size, so we'll need to come over to the layer tab here and scale this down to around 100. In addition to that, we'll obviously need to customize some elements of this widget here to match what Sojib's setup originally looked like. So I'll come back to the items tab and tap on this overlap group here. Then I'll tap on this top shape layer, come over to the paint tab and change this to more of a yellow color. Then I'll come back and select this text layer here. And again, come over to the paint tab and change this color to a dark grayish blue color. I'll come back once again and select this next text layer here. And I need to actually first change the actual text itself so that it says Sam and not Sojib. Then with that done, I'll come over to the paint tab and change this color to an orange color. Then I'll come back and select this next rectangle layer, come over to the paint tab and change this to a green color. Then come back, select this next text layer and change this paint color to white. I'll come back once more and select this final text layer at the bottom. Again, come over to the paint tab and I'll change this to a very dark gray color. Then I can hit save, come back home, and there is our updated widget, which matches the original design fairly closely, although I wasn't referring back to the original screenshot throughout the editing process for the sake of this video, so the colors might be a little off as a result. But then the last thing to do is select our bottom widget here, and this one was called A041 from the Alpha KWGT pack, so we'll search for that, tap to select it, and again, we'll come over to the layer tab and scale this down to around 100. We also need to adjust the colors of this widget as well. So we'll come back to the items tab and select this top overlap group. Then we'll select the second shape layer, come over to the paint tab and change the color to green. I'm just using the green color I used for the previous widget, which does help to speed up the process just that little bit. Then we'll come back and select this third shape layer here, come over to the paint tab and change this to orange. Then we'll come back and select the fourth shape layer, and again, come over to the paint tab, this time change the color to that same dark blue gray color that we used earlier. Then we'll again come back, select the shape layer second from the bottom, come over to the paint tab, change this to that yellowy orange color. Then we'll come back one last time, select the bottom shape layer, come over to the paint tab and change the color to a bright blue. That's the only color that wasn't previously used, so you'll need to select that one manually. Then we can save that, come back home, and there is our completed home screen setup. And this one took a little longer to set up, pretty much exclusively thanks to the fact that we had to change all of those colors for all of those widget elements, but the end result looks really great. I really enjoy the combination of wallpaper, widgets, and icons used throughout, so hats off to Sojib for some pretty impressive creativity. All right, second up today is this beautiful light setup called the DJ Bike, which is admittedly a pretty funky name, but this is actually a smart launcher based setup, which I've never actually used before, but it was submitted by Dan Kesey, another regular contributor to the Palette application. And if we take a look at the setup details page within Palette, we can see that it also uses the crayon icon pack, as well as the shadow KWGT and the timeless KWGT packs. And if we tap the little information icon up here, we can see the names of our widgets, which we'll use a little later on. But with that out of the way, let's tap our More button here and then tap to download the backup and wallpaper files. Then we'll come home and long press our Smart Launcher home screen, then swipe up to bring up the settings menu, and now we can tap on Backup. We'll then tap on the little 3-dot icon here and then tap on Restore Backup from File. We'll then locate and select the recently downloaded backup file, hit OK, and when we come back home, we can see that not only has it restored the various elements of this home screen, but it's also restored the wallpaper as well, which is really neat. Okay, we'll then tap on our top widget here, and this one was called S Search 2, and it was from the Timeless KWGT pack. So we'll search for that, tap to select it, and then we need to come over to the Layer tab and scale this up to around 100. Then we'll come over to the Globals tab and select this search box color here and change this to a light bluey green color and hit apply. Then we can hit save, come back home, and there we go. Now we'll tap the bottom widget, search for 091 and select the option that comes up from the Shadow KWGT pack. Then we'll tap on this overlap group and come over to the Layer tab, and we'll just scale this up a bit so it's closer to the edge of the widget size without cutting off the shadow. This was around 110 for me, but with that done, we'll hit save, come back home, and there is our completed home screen setup. And I've got to say, I really do love the layout of this setup. That wallpaper in particular has done a fantastic job at sectioning off the home screen, and I'm actually also really impressed by this Smart Launcher app. It's got a really great design and layout, and a lot of the core features are free, including restoring backup files, which is really cool. And so finally today we have this fantastic setup called City Sketch. And this has also been made using Smart Launcher. So pretty cool to see that app featured twice in this episode. But this super unique setup was submitted by a user who goes by the name Sibes06. If we take a look at the setup details page, this icon pack was actually a custom made icon pack created using the Icon Pack Studio application. And if you have the pro version, then you'll be able to download and use this icon pack straight away. But if you don't feel like picking up the pro version, then you could potentially recreate the icon pack yourself. Although apparently some of the effects used to create the icon pack also require the pro version, but you should still be able to get pretty close. But I'll go ahead and download that icon pack, then I'll tap to open it and then hit apply. I'll select both home screen and app page and then tap OK. Now I can come back to Palette and we've actually got a custom widget here called Date Time. So I'll tap to download that. And then last but not least, we've got the sheer KWGT pack. So we'll want to make sure that that is installed and ready to go. I'll also just tap on the little information icon up here and make a note of the widget name. And you can see that we've also got a URL of the custom font that was used for the date widget, which is actually also needed for customizing the text components of the bottom widget. So if you are recreating this setup on your own phone, then you'll need to go to that URL and download the font for free so that it's ready for later on. But with that downloaded, we'll head back into Palette and we can now tap on this More button and tap to download both the backup and wallpaper files. And with that done, we'll come back home to Smart Launcher, long press the home screen and swipe up, and then we'll tap on Backup. Then we'll tap the 3-dot icon, select Restore Backup from File, locate the backup file we just downloaded, select it, and then hit OK. And as you can see, all we need to do now is set up our widgets. So I'll tap on this top one first, which is where our custom date and time widget is placed. And to get that one set up, we'll need to tap on Import, then come to the Downloads folder and select the recently downloaded KWGT file. Then I'll come over to the Library tab, select the imported City Sketch widget, and once that is loaded in, I'll tap on Save, and there we go. How cool does that look? All right, I'll now tap on this bottom widget here and search AW022 and select the widget that shows up. And once that is loaded in, we actually need to do quite a bit of editing here to match the end result as seen in the original setup submitted by Sibes. As mentioned, this includes changing the font for each text component, which we can do by opening each of our text layers, then by selecting the font, selecting this folder icon, and then locating and importing that sketchy font that we downloaded earlier. I had actually already extracted the zip file for this font off camera, so just keep that in mind when importing your own custom font. We also need to change the color of pretty much every single component found within the widget to this dark gray color. And yes, that means every single one of these lines, which are all unfortunately individual layers. And so this is actually really monotonous and boring to watch. So I'm just gonna use the magic of editing to make everything the right color. But if you're not sure how to do it yourself, well, just go back and watch the Qt House setup process because it's actually the exact same method, but just with this one dark gray color. But with that done, I can now hit save, come back home, and there is our completed home screen setup. And even though that bottom widget was actually kind of annoying to set up, I think you'll agree that the end result is seriously incredible looking. I'd love to see a dark mode version of this setup that automatically converts all of these elements whenever the system dark mode is enabled, but that's perhaps for another video. Aside from that, that is it for this beautifully designed city sketch setup. Well done to Sibes06 for another fantastic home screen setup. And so that's it. And I highly encourage you to go and give some love to each of the creators from this episode by following their profiles within Palette, which you can do so simply by tapping on their username up here and then by tapping follow. You can also find the 3 setups featured in today's video under the Best of Palette category, which you can find via the featured menu. But aside from that, if you enjoyed the video, then a sub to the channel would be amazing. But that's it. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will catch you later.